Are up. My mic is live. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in. Let me get Tanner and those boys to repost.
Oh, wow. It's been up a couple hours, and I've got almost 1,000 now.
There you go.
I've got several videos that are approaching 1,000.
Yeah, honestly, it's been fun watching it grow. I've got some got 14,000, 15,000. Others, you can tell when they don't let anybody see it. I did with Lee Williams. He was sandwiched in between two videos. They got about 2,000 views a shot, and Lee's got 9. And I think it popped up to like 89. And that was because I had Lee the Gunwriter Williams in there. And I believe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, probably.
Gibson
I just post a lot of shorts, and people will seem to watch that as they're scrolling through.
Gibson shirt, PRS Custom 24 guitar in a lime, solid mahogany maple top. Beautiful guitar, guys. Honest to goodness. I mean, plays like a dream. Really does. So I'm going to be heading to the Dallas Safari Show tomorrow at the World Congress Center for a couple hours. And that was at the request of Pendleton Safe. That'll be interesting. Yeah. Should have Paul coming in. Straighten out that camera a little bit. There you go. All right.
All right, Paul's on hold.
Good. I hope he's got a show plan for me today. I have no idea where we're going with him today.
Perfect.
I'll let you guys take it.
Pass.
Oh, come on, help a brother out.
Pass.
Oh, come on, help a brother out. You see that, ladies and gentlemen? See what Greg.
I'll go to backup.
I thought about calling you earlier today. Chose not to. I figured if I was going to have a guest host in for me today, well, that's not fair to you.
Right.
See, guys, when if I ever want to take a day off or have something going on, I put a guest host in. Well, Greg doesn't get to leave early.
Greg normally has to co-host.
So you don't have to. So I try to accommodate Greg because Greg's the real deal, in case you guys don't know.
We are
that.
close to close.
Close to close. Let's get the 30 up.
This is 60.
60,
and
which means
60.
I'm going to go with the 30. Here we go, boys and girls.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. from the CZ Studios.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
I tell you, Greg in Dallas, Texas, I take a sip of the Celsius in the right time frame, and I almost choke on it.
Every time.
What gives? Can a fella get a break? Can a fella get a break? That's
No,
a fun
not at
word,
all.
isn't it? Fella.
Huh?
Remember back in the day? I don't remember back in the day because I'm not old enough to remember back in the day. But even in my day, I don't think anybody called people fellas. But back in the day,
I've been
Yeah, it
called
was-
fella before, but it was by an older person.
yeah, who lived back in that day, back in the day, when it was fellas and guys and gals and guys and dames. I guess that was about the 20s, and then it moved from guys and dames to fellas, right?
Good fellas.
That's a great movie.
Love it.
It is a great movie, but it's got that idiot, wacko, lunatic Robert De Niro, who I will not. But now that one I give a pass because I've seen it so many times.
It's a great movie.
It is a fantastic movie, and I'm going to give him a pass on it because I've seen it so many times. Like Sean Penn, I can't stand Sean Penn.
Yeah.
But I've seen Ridgemont High so many times that
Yeah.
I'll watch it again, you know.
Yep.
They've already got my money on those. It's the new stuff. I wouldn't waste my money, waste my time. Hey, welcome into the CZ Studios, guys. It is a Friday here, National Rifle Association presenting everything. Just to let you know, because it's going to be April before you know it, but I did lock up a very large booth at invitation for the NRA for Media Row for you. So if you're going to be at the NRA convention this year, ladies and gentlemen, I'll have a large broadcast booth, and if you show up, well, I might even mic you up. So that would be fun. And now, Greg, it's in Texas this year. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to April. But here's the problem, guys. It's going to be April. Okay?
Yeah.
So keep that in the back of your mind. And, Greg, we're live on Facebook for you, facebook.com/Armed American Radio. I'll let you do your spiel, and then we'll go to Paul Markle, who I hope has a show lined up for me today because I'm counting on him. There you go, Paul. We'll go to you in a second. Better start
on hold
Googling.
listening.
Better start Googling right now, brother, because I'm going to ask you what you want to talk about. There's your heads up. Go ahead, Greg.
Sure, other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, if you'd like to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create you a profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
I took another sip of the Celsius. The same
Right
thing
as
happened.
I'm wrapping it
Paul
up.
Markle, student of the gun, the professor, SOTGU.com. Welcome in, my brother from another Wyoming mother. How you doing?
Well, I think we're going to be good since Greg is back this week.
Yeah, he wasn't here last week, and you heard what I was saying. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Everything went to shite last week.
Shiitake mushrooms, huh?
Yeah, everything went to shite without him there. So hopefully things will go well. Yeah, dude, you want to throw me in the briar patch? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah,
Like,
but, you know,
don't throw me in the briar patch.
Greg's not the only one that can play sounds. I can, too. Watch this. Yeah, we got some applause going over there. Yeah, I could do that. I could do... Oh, come on, man. All right, I see what we're
Oh,
doing
come
here.
on.
Okay, I see what we're doing here.
Wrong button.
Okay. All right. Okay, we good? Paul, Paul, what do you want to talk about today? I wasn't kidding. I got nothing
Well,
for you.
it's funny that you brought that up about NRA annual meeting coming up. We've been kicking around the idea of doing a book signing.
Mm-hmm.
We really have not, because there's been so much going on, talked about the latest book,
Oh my
and that
gosh!
is the Guns of the Cold War.
Wow. You know,
Have we?
hold on a second before you go into that particular book. We've not talked about that. Guys, Paul has written so many books that he has lost count. Now, I know I have. And, you know, I rank you up there as far as authors. I rank you up there with Gottlieb and Workman combined. Dozens of books. You've got dozens of books. Mine are easy. I've got 3. Lessons from Armed America, Lessons from Unarmed America, and Grilling While Armed, my favorite. We're going to do a special on Grilling While Armed, and I will have all of them available for you at the NRA convention, too. So, Paul, maybe we can get together at NRA, and because you will be on the show with me on site. Maybe we'll do a joint book signing. That'd be a lot of fun. But let's talk about it. Guns of the Cold War. Let's go there. That's fascinating and interesting. Let's talk about it.
You know, you were just reminiscing about with Greg there about you're not that old. Well, sometimes believe it or not, you do get that old. And it occurred to me as I speak to people that are my son's age that a lot of the firearms knowledge and history that I grew up with, and I just kind of took for granted that everybody knew that, understood it. It's like, yeah, everybody understands that. Everybody knows it. That's not the case. Despite what we were told back in the 90s, remember back in the 90s when the internet became a thing?
Yeah.
And we called it the information superhighway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you brought that up because back in those days, it wasn't Google, it was web crawler, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, people didn't you didn't know,
Yeah.
but, and the search engines were not anything with it. But my point is this, I recall them telling us, the eggheads, right, telling us that they were, because of the internet, ushering in an era of human enlightenment that was unforeseen, that we'd never seen before in history.
Thank God for Al Gore, right? Wow, thank God for Al
yeah,
Gore.
no kidding.
Whew.
But let's face facts. We have lots of information and very little intelligence right now. Paul,
has it ever dawned on you that we have so much information that's why we have so little intelligence? Has that ever occurred to you?
Oh, yeah.
People don't need to think anymore. They just go get it. Right?
And we assume, and I've noticed this in us, I don't know, the people in their 20s or whatever, whereas parents used to understand that it was their responsibility to teach the lessons and pass on the lessons. And I believe we've gotten to a point, or at least we had, where people say, well, of course the kids they'll know that because they can just Google it. They can just look it up on the internet. They can just watch a YouTube video. But that's not passing down the lesson. And that gets to why did you write a book called Guns of the Cold War? Well, first of all, I was in the Cold War. Mm-hmm. I was there at the end of it. I was actually, I guess technically there when it came to an end because I was in Europe when the Berlin Wall came down. And what we know about most humans is anything that happened prior to their birth, they generally disregard as irrelevant.
Oh,
right?
Wait, hold on a second. That's a very profound statement because you're so right about that. Yet that is so wrong, and it's why we have a lot of the problems that we have today because people forget history. Now that doesn't happen in my house. I go back. My kids love history like I do, and that old euphemism is true. People who forget history are doomed to repeat it, or who ignore it are doomed to repeat it. It's very true, and I'm glad you mentioned that because it is true. And we tend to think in terms of our own timeline of our own life. Now, that's a really obscure thing. How do you envision time in your mind? I envision time in my mind as a line, right? And I see the centuries as little cutoffs in those lines and where we are in these time frames. My grandfather, not my great-grandfather. My grandfather was born in 1896. It's 2025, okay? And when I look back in things, and this is why history is so important, guys. We'll put it in this context, and we'll go to break with Paul and come back for his elaboration on this. But I think it's important that we paint that picture for you, because I've taught my kids. When I was born, an 82-year-old man was born 20 years before the turn of the century, of the 20th century. Okay? And, my grandmother was born when the Titanic sank. The year the Titanic sank. Okay? All right, guys, it wasn't that long ago. We tend to forget that the history that we're going to talk about with Paul here coming up, I have a feeling I know what direction he's going to go, was not that long ago. When you consider you're talking back a generation or two in your own lives, we're talking 80s, 90s. It wasn't that long ago. So when we come back, kind of keep that in perspective. We're talking with Paul Markel, student of the gun. you can find everything Paul does. And all of his books, so many that I think he's lost count of. Now, he's probably going to go count them during the break and come back with an exact number. And I won't believe he didn't already do that just because I know Paul. But you can find everything that Paul does at Student of the Gun University. That's SOTGU.com, SOTGU.com. We'll be back. We have 3 more segments to go on what is turning into a great fun Friday for you. And honestly, I have no idea where it's going to go. You're going to listen to a conversation as if Paul and I were talking face-to-face or sitting on the telephone. Welcome into the call. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Greg, are you looking at your screen? I cut myself shaving before the show, and I just noticed it.
Shaving, what's that?
Judging from the look of you on screen, that's a legitimate question.
Yep.
Guys, welcome back in. National Rifle Association presenting it all to you. They do every day. And guys, please, please, please support the National Rifle Association. Now, it's a new organization. Join them, please, at nra.org/AAR. When you do that, you support this program, you support the NRA, you support your gun rights in all 50 states. And it has never been more critical than it is right now. Believe me, they have plans for you. You already know that if you're a fan of the show. Welcome back inside the CZ studios with me, Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. And we're here on the Patriot mobile microphone, and I chose not to wear the hat. And there's a reason for that, because I got a couple guys always give me a hard time about my hair growing longer. And I guess just call it a midlife crisis or something like that, right? So I'm letting you know
Post-midlife?
that it'll be cut before I get out to our event out in Arizona coming up. It'll be a lot of fun. And we'll talk about that in another segment. Paul Markle, student of the gun, welcome back in with me, brother. It's great to have you here, as always, on a Friday. I'm going to turn it over to you. We were running out of time, so I just kind of took that time from you to set that up and paint that picture. How many books have you written, Paul? Did you go and look while we were on a break? I'm just curious.
No,
Okay.
no.
Safe to
A
say
bunch,
dozens. Yeah,
a lot.
Go ahead, man. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
So that's how all of that that's set up. Let's start out with talk about what the heck was the Cold War. You talk to somebody in their 20s and you bring up Cold War, and I would venture to say if they went to public school, they probably don't know what you're talking about.
Depending where they went, you're absolutely right. Agreed.
How much effort are public schools putting on educating people right now regarding the time frame in history that we refer to as the Cold War? And for those of you that don't know, essentially it is that era in time from the end of World War II up until about November, December of 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down. Then we could go into what are you talking about, Berlin Wall? You have to give an entire history lesson there. But a significant era in history, especially for Americans, or at least people that have the ability to own firearms, is that post-World War II era. Because we went into World War II with guns that were made out of steel and hardwood. They were big, heavy, made out of steel, made out of hardwood. And for those of you that never thought about it, we fought all of World War II and the Korean War, and then World War I, of course, but with corrosive ammo. Think about that for a second.
Explain that, would you please?
All right. Well, back in the day, when we came, first of all, we had to come up with smokeless powder versus powder that makes smoke. Like your old muzzleloader, your black powder type stuff. It was smoky, and it was also extremely corrosive. It would cause your guns to rust. And then sometime during, I think it was the Spanish-American War, was the first time that smokeless powder was used on the battlefield. Fast forward, but we still had primers in our cartridges that were corrosive. That means that if you didn't clean your gun up well, that it would attract moisture. The moisture would stick to the metal and would cause rust. But the good thing is, or the positive thing was, corrosive primers last forever, like for decades. Like you could, in the 90s, when the Soviet Union had collapsed, but they all had ammo, and so they're like, we don't have any money, but we've got connexes and warehouses full of ammo, and Americans went over there with American dollars and bought up. You remember the era of buying 7.62 by 39 for 10 cents a shot, right?
Yeah,
cents a shot.
It wasn't that long ago, ladies and gentlemen, when you could get a box of ammo for $5.99 when you left work to hit the range at lunch. That wasn't that long ago. It was in the 90s, guys.
Right. So anyway, it occurred to me that a lot of this history, things that changed between World War II and what we call our GWAT era, what happened? We changed the use of materials. There weren't really any plastic guns in World War II, right?
No, they were big, they were heavy, and let's use the word
they
cordite.
Were heavy, they were large.
Cordite, remember?
Large, heavy, and most of them, if they were semi-automatic, they had internal, like the Garand. Everyone loves the Garand because it's historical, but it had an internal magazine. And what happened? What we had was after World War II, we had the breakup of the world into basically two camps. You had the West and NATO, and then you had the East and the Warsaw Pact and the Soviet Union and Communist China. And their goal was to turn the world communist, and our goal was to keep that from happening. Now, we did kind of a crappy job at it, but we don't really have time to talk about that right now. But when it comes to firearms, I think a lot of people that are in their 20s go into a gun shop and they see an AR-15, one of many hundreds of different styles on the rack, and they just kind of assume that's always the way it's been. But it hasn't. Mm-hmm. It had to begin somewhere. How do we get to this point? And so what I started doing was I started looking at examining the certain guns of the Cold War and how either, number one, they made the transition from World War II and continued to be used during the Cold War, such as the M1911A1 was a World War I gun that lasted through World War II and then continued to last almost until the end of the Cold War.
Until very recently, actually, and some they're still carried by some right now by choice. So, it is a choice, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, interesting. We call you the professor for a reason, Paul.
So, I don't know where we are on time right now, but for instance, handguns. How do we go from where we were to where we are? And what's interesting, the Glock 17 is a Cold War pistol. And people are like, no, it's not. Yeah,
mid-1980s. 1980s.
Yeah.
And
okay, we were still in the Cold War.
We have 20 seconds, just so you know. Go ahead, take us to the break.
Yeah. No, I would love to continue this conversation, but marinate on that during the break.
Yeah, that Glock that you have in your safe, ladies and gentlemen, Paul is absolutely correct. And if you're old enough to remember, in the 80s, when the Glocks first came out, they were that plastic gun that the left always told us could get through airport security and all this other nonsense, which was all a bag of lies. Some still tell you that to this day, by the way. Fascinating conversation. We're having it with Paul Markel, student of the gun, the professor. You can visit him at sotgu.com. During the break, if you get a chance, make sure to check out armedamericanradio.com. I'll put the QR code for Blackout Coffee up next, blackoutcoffee.com. I just ordered 2 more bags today because I'm finding myself going through it far faster than I thought I would. Great stuff. We'll be right back with Paul. Hey guys, I was just notified by our production software that apparently Facebook is having some streaming issues today. It is not coming from here. It is coming from them. So if you're watching on Facebook, we apologize for that, but we kind of don't because it's not our fault.
We don't care.
So, yeah, not our fault. But we did get notified that, in fact, they are having some issues over on Facebook. So if you're seeing that glitchy stuff, it does that here on this end, but it's not us here. It is Facebook. And some of that will glitch out a little bit on our end because apparently they're having problems over there. And I don't want to cut the stream off. Hopefully it resolves itself. So there you go. We'll be back with you in less than a minute.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today here in the CZ studios. And guys, my phone is a Patriot Mobile phone, and I have the Patriot Mobile hat here, but I'm intentionally not wearing it today because I'm funning with some folks that like to give me crap about me letting my hair grow long. But, that's just, hey, it's just kind of fun to do. Anyway, patriotmobile.com is the real deal. Patriotmobile.com. They did land safely yesterday. They were delayed. Couldn't get them on the program, but we'll have them up next week for you. Well, maybe not because I will be in Arizona, so that's going to take some time. We'll see about the following week, maybe even Sunday. We'll see. Anyway, patriotmobile.com/AAR. Please support the businesses that support you and your rights. They wear their Second Amendment on their sleeve, their support for the 2A on their sleeve, ladies and gentlemen. You can watch it right there on the website. Go check it out, patriotmobile.com/AAR. Moving a line over is super easy, takes about 15 minutes. And they have that new Ghost phone. Go look at that thing. All right? I'm getting ready to move one over. I'm having some trouble with my carry, but that's the one I'm going for, and it's likely going to be the iPhone Air, just saying. So go check it out. They got this Ghost phone here. You talk about privacy and security. Patriot Mobile's the real deal. They protect you. That's the way it should be. patriotmobile.com/AAR. And you can find all of our great partners, including budsgunshop.com. Budsgunshop.com, our exclusive online retailer. They've got something for you over there, I promise. Support them. Buy a box of ammo. Buy some Barrel Buddies. Buy something. And support the businesses that support these voices and now video for you on Armed American Radio every single day. Paul Markle, student of the gun, welcome back. So fascinating conversation. Let's go back to that because I am old enough, obviously, to remember all of that. And, the whole Glock thing, we go back in, when you talk about the 80s, my memory of that is tied into the Cold War, right? And a lot of the reasons, you were talking about how some younger people in their 20s might not have learned that. And there's a reason for that. If you live in a large Democrat-run city or somewhere where the teachers union was controlling education, they didn't talk famously and positively about Ronald Reagan at all. And that is what really helped end the Cold War. And they don't like to give Ronald Reagan
absolutely
credit. So go ahead, Paul.
Ronald Reagan, between Reagan and Thatcher, those two, and there were some others. The Chancellor of West Germany. That's another funny one. You say West Germany to a millennial, and they're like, "You mean the western part of Germany?" Or I'm like, "No, the country." And they look at you like, "What?" Like, yeah, there was a country called West Germany, and there was a country called East Germany, and
one flourished and the other sucked and lived in black and white. The other one was colored and filled with lights, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much that bad.
And I had the privilege of being able to be in Berlin in the 1990s after the reunification, and I went into the East, into East Berlin. And it was crazy,
night and day.
There were still buildings in East Berlin and in East Germany that had existed during the war and had been shot up. I mean, there were buildings with like blast holes in them,
Yeah.
bullet holes, artillery holes, tank shot, still standing that they never bothered to tear down or repair. East Germany was pretty. It was pretty dark. It was pretty gray. Like you said, they were living in black and white.
And Paul, let me point out too, as you talk about this again, to paint this theater of the mind. I know the demographic of the listener on this show. It's between 45 and 65, and guys, many of you remember, like I do, distinctly remember people being murdered, trying to get over that wall, being shot and killed, trying to escape that. And we forget that that's all our lifetimes. Paul, go ahead. Sorry, wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, the watchtowers and the barbed wire and it wasn't to keep people from getting into the Soviet Union. It was to keep people from escaping, from getting out. That they lied. They said, "Oh well, we don't want to allow the evil Westerners to get in." Yes, like okay, whatever. That's the thing. Communists always lie. Communists and socialists always lie. Even if their lie is ridiculous, they'll just keep telling it.
Can I give a real life today example of that?
Yes.
Yeah, the latest news is outing Bernie Sanders for spending over $550,000 on private jets on his oligarchy tour, going after billionaires. I just want to let you know that, ladies and gentlemen. If you're one of the suckers that falls for this, you're also a sucker that believes a Chinese fake Gibson guitar is equivalent to an actual American handmade Gibson. I feel bad for you. Get a new job. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, yeah. When it comes to Bernie, Bernie was a big. Bernie's the one that gave us 21st century socialism. He's the one who went down there and was hugging and kissing it up with Chavez. People seem to forget about that.
Yeah, but, we don't here.
I digress. But let's keep it on the line of Guns of the Cold War. And you're like, why should I buy a book that you wrote called Guns of the Cold War? Well, because it's the guns of the Cold War that got us to where we are today. The reason that you can walk into, your favorite gun shop and there's literally dozens, if not more, of different brands and styles and configurations of AR-15. The reason that there's probably 50 to 100 polymer frame striker-fired pistols from every manufacturer, not just Glock, in the case that you can pick up and that run. Something that when I was 18 years old, hanging out in gun shops talking to those old dudes, the idea that a gun would just run out of the box was ridiculous. You're like, what are you talking about, Paul? Like, oh, no. When you bought a gun, they would tell you.
200, 300, 400 round break-in period.
Oh, it needs a break-in period. Like, don't come in here and tell me how it's not working right if you've only fired a few magazines through it or whatever. It was just assumed that the gun wasn't going to function 100% until you shot it a lot. Can you imagine that today?
Well, actually,
a new CZ or a new Glock or a new whatever, and you having stoppages.
I won't mention the Kimber manufacturer name of the gun I have that's a Safe Queen. Oh, I just did.
Oh, don't bring up Kimber.
Well, and I say that because, well, it's true. I've got a Kimber that will never, ever, ever leave my safe. I love the gun, and I do take it out, and I do shoot it from time to time, but I'll never carry it with me because I can't trust it. Through its break-in period, 2 malfunctions, each one on the 150th round. Each one on the 150th round. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked by that. I didn't even get through the break-in period, but I had a fail to feed and a fail to eject at 150 and then 300 rounds, and the gun went right back in the safe. Now, it's a beautiful gun. I like the gun, but I can't trust it, Paul, so it's not riding in my holster ever.
Right. So, with Guns of the Cold War, there's a reason why and let's face facts, the firearms in the United States of America today are extremely economical compared to what they were. Yeah, I remember a used AR-15 with the triangle handguards, basically the SP-01 or whatever, one of the Colts, hanging on a wall in one of the gun shops I used to frequent when I was young. I didn't have any money anyway. but I remember it being $500 in 1985.
Yeah.
$500 in 1985 was a lot.
A lot more than 500.
Yeah, so
30.
and it was not unheard of to pay $400 or $500 for a duty quality gun just a few years ago. And the fact of the matter is that, and I know that the American manufacturers hate it, but there are some Turkish guns coming in right now, striker-fired Turkish guns that will not quit, that are amazing, and they're really economical. And so there's a reason why we're here. And a lot of it has to do with
Yeah, music's cutting us off right there, Paul, when we come back. Guys, another manufacturer that is just absolutely unbelievable is CZ. We're sitting in the CZ studios. These guns run forever, and they feel like one in your hands. That's a beautiful thing, and to me, that matters. We'll be right back with Paul. One more segment to go on a Friday.
segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
All right, guys, so the schedule was etched in stone yesterday. I'll be in Arizona on the 18th, where I have a meeting with a manufacturer. And then on the 19th, I'll be broadcasting the show for you from the Attorneys for Freedom law firm offices. And they have a beautiful setup there. It's absolutely gorgeous. It is top-notch. And I'll be broadcasting the show for you live from the Attorneys for Freedom office in Chandler, Arizona. Later that evening, I will be heading to the convention center, and then dinner, and then Friday. Not sure what we're doing with the show yet, but you'll have a show. And Sunday, we'll be broadcasting live from Phoenix. I will not be in the 960 The Patriot studios, but I will be broadcasting from a remote location, and it will be a dynamite show. And we've got a full weekend planned for you at the Attorneys on Retainer convention at the Mesa Convention Center, but you have to be a member. There's other reasons you have to be a member. If you carry a gun, you have to be a member, guys. It's that simple. $37 a month for a team of attorneys if, God forbid, you have to use a firearm. And if you carry one, you already know that that's a real possibility because you already are smart enough to know that you could be a victim. Get your Attorneys on Retainer card, attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. Take advantage of this amazing opportunity for $37 a month to have a lawyer, a team of lawyers, an entire firm who specialize in nothing but keeping you out of trouble if you have to use a firearm. No brainer. I'm telling you, you will sleep better at night. You absolutely will. Attorneysonretainer.us. And while you're filling out that work and doing all that cool stuff online, have a cup of blackout coffee while you're at it. Many of you have. I got a lot of emails today. I want to thank Susie for that today. Use that promo code, Armed American Radio. It's real simple, AAR, blackoutcoffee.com/AAR, and take advantage of all the opportunities that we have for you. Our great sponsors, we've got a group of them. They've been around forever with us. We love each and every one of them. We're in the CZ Studios, National Rifle Association, Patriot Mobile. Take advantage of all of it. All right, guys, let's get closer to our Fridays. Paul Markle, student of the gun. Let's keep going, brother. I'm fascinated with the conversation. Go for it.
Well, one thing that we haven't done, but is tell people where they can get the book.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, well,
take advantage
there's a
of
little
it.
place called Amazon.com. It's available as a paperback Kindle and an audio book. So if you want to just listen while you're driving, you can do that too. So it's essentially what the way the book is laid out is I chose not everyone because, I mean, obviously you couldn't, but several different types of firearms, both United States firearms, or NATO, I guess you would say NATO firearms, as well as Soviet/Warsaw Pact guns. And what's interesting, at least to me, is that a lot of the countries that were Warsaw Pact Soviet Union now no longer happen to be that way. Mm-hmm. And we trade with them and so on and so forth. The Czech Republic, which used to be Czechoslovakia during the Cold War and is now two different countries, that's where CZ comes from, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And you know that the CZ-75 was a Cold War era gun, but it was extremely unique because at the time, the Warsaw Pact was either using the Tokarov cartridge or the Makarov cartridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Max. Good heavens. Oh, you're going back, man.
The Max.
Yeah.
Well, during that era, NATO decided that they were going to standardize. They did a standardization agreement, or STANAG, and one of the many STANAGs was adopting the 9mm Parabellum/Luger as the 9x19mm NATO. Mm-hmm. So that was the NATO cartridge, but CZ, even though it was 1975 and the Cold War was underway and they were part of the Warsaw Pact, Czechoslovakia was, they designed the CZ-75 it was designed during 1975, but it actually wasn't put into full production until 1976. So this year, and if you guys are pistol geeks and you go over to the CZ website, you'll see that they have a 50th anniversary
Sure do.
Pistol. But yeah, that's one of those ones where people are like, what? Yeah.
Well, I think
and
there's another one. I think I want to jump in because the time will get away from us. But is one of the most probably, and a lot of you will agree with this, one of the best designed guns to come out of that entire era is the Kalashnikov, which is incredibly reliable in the 7.62 by 3.9 cartridge. Mm-hmm. You know, the simplicity of that gun, its reliability, that's probably one of the only things they did right. And they did do it right. That gun is still in use to this day. And, of course, you got the variants. You got the 74. I used to have a 74. No longer. Didn't like that one. A little bit lighter, cheaper metal. But, yeah, but the first one I ever bought, the first assault weapon I ever bought was, it was an Arsenal SLR AK-47, Paul, which you probably remember.
Mm-hmm.
And those guns were incredibly reliable. Still are.
No, and what's interesting is the Czechs decided that they didn't when Mikhail Kalashnikov came up with the AK-47, which became the AKM, and most of the Warsaw Pact in the Soviet Union, they're like, well, we're just going to license that from you guys, and we'll make our own. The Polish did, and the Romanians did, and but the Czechs are like, nope, we don't want that. They've always kind of been fiercely independent, even when they were communist. And they came up with the CZ-58, which is a 7.62 by 39 chambered gun, but it is not a Kalashnikov at all. It's very different in design. And I talk about, there's a whole chapter dedicated to the CZ-58 in the book, Guns of the Cold War. So if you want to get some education and maybe enlighten yourself a little bit, or just have a fun read, a lot of those, like I said, I was there. I was there during the transition from the 1911 to the Beretta, the M9, and I carried them both during the Cold War. And so, yeah, I would think it would be great if you'd pick one up.
I love my I love my 1911. I have one sitting here in the studio with me. And believe it or not, it's one of the most reliable guns I have. A lot of people are probably rolling their eyes on that. But it is, the one I have anyway, is incredibly reliable. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to mention the brand. I think I've mentioned it before, but it's also equipped with laser grip, and the gun just runs phenomenally well. And anybody who's ever fired one knows that you make a comparison of every other gun against how it feels in your hand, comparable to a 1911, because its design, as far as its ergonomics, Paul, in my estimation anyway, is just perfect. I compare everything else to it. Its pointability, it becomes a natural part of you, the whole 9 yards. All right, Paul, so we're out of time, brother. Got to tell people where they can go get the book and where they can find all your cool stuff. Fun show today. Thank you for picking up the ball and running with me today. Take it away, bro.
Not a problem. Yeah, the book is called Guns of the Cold War, and it's available from Paul Markle on Amazon right now. Kindle, all that good stuff.
And he's got a whole slew of other books out there, ladies and gentlemen. Just visit the website over at Student of the Gun, SOTGU, and you'll find everything that Paul has done. Paul, fascinating. Always fun to talk with you on a Friday. Can't wait to see you in person in April at NRA. We'll have you mic'd up, obviously, for probably an entire hour. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, your weekend's upon you. Ours is. So here's what I want you to do. Carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. You already know that. Make sure you have some lawyers. Join the National Rifle Association. Drink some Blackout coffee. Pick up a crossbreed holster. Buy something from Guns. Get some Patriots relief. It's all there for you at armedamericanradio.com. I love you. I'll see you on the Sunday Monstercast. Enjoy your day.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, weekend's here. Enjoy yours. Stay safe. We're going to get a fire pit going. We're going to fire up the grill. We're going to grill some burgers. And a Sunday's Bloody Mary is on tap because that stuff is that good. Visit Sunday's Bloody Mary online. You don't have to add anything to it. You don't have to, you can just have it straight up. The Virgin Mary, amazing. You don't need, but if you're like me, back before I discovered this stuff a couple years ago, and the owners and I have a great relationship. But back in the day, you make a Bloody Mary or buy a mix, you're always sticking, with me, it was like maybe some horseradish or some Worcestershire sauce, definitely some Tabasco. I buy their spicy. I don't even have to touch it. It's that good. Make sure to check them out, Sunday's Bloody Marys. And when you do that, make sure you tell them Armed American Radio sent you. Colin and the folks over there are a wonderful family-run business, and it is a dynamite product. All of our sponsors are, so make sure to visit each and every one of them, won't you please? Stay safe out there, guys. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you on the Monstercast on Sunday. The lineup is building. We'll see you live on the radio Sunday, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 8 Pacific time. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Thanks for being here.